lost the button for a second then. Like, where's the button? I managed to log on completely fine, and then I couldn't find the live button.
My camera always makes me look so pink. I need a new webcam. I am not this pink.
Where are you sat though? Are you, because you're quite backlit as well, so maybe that doesn't help. Because I'm sat in front of a window, and I find that that's best. But I'm guessing you're not. Are you in front of a window?
The window's over there, but the curtains are closed because I have people directly outside my flat. That's like workmen on scaffolding. Like, hey.
Hi. Do you like books? How much money do you make? Buy me some books.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Tori.
Hello. Welcome to the chaos.
The one where they just be wary going in. There probably will be spoilers from the offset because unlike organised people like Chloe and Becca, we have no linear sort of discussion. We do flip back and forth quite regularly.
Who does linear? That doesn't work.
No set way of discussing the book, but
this is why I can't go on like any other platform probably, because they'd just be like, "What the heck is wrong with you?" And what about when this happened? Oh, and this bit when it happened like 4 chapters before that, and what about 10 chapters later? And at the start of the book, what about this?
But it's when things come to your mind, you're like, "Oh, we need to talk about that," but it's fine. But what did you rate it?
4 stars now. So the first time, well, it's not the. This is like the 3rd time I've read this book. But I read this book when I was, I want to say like 13, 14, when you were meant to read this book. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Because it was probably one of the first like more adulty fantasy books that I read that wasn't like full on YA.
Yeah.
But now, 4 stars. And I think it probably could be less. But nostalgia does push it up for me, gotta be honest.
See, I rated 4 stars, but it's because I did really enjoy it, but it just didn't give me, because I don't do co-pilot anymore because Logic, who is she? I really did enjoy the story, and give me Chosen One Dragon Boy trope any day of the week, and I'm down 100%. But part of me didn't like him as a person. He was very bratty at times, and that annoyed the heck out of me. Like the way that he stood in front of Brom and would just demand, like, "You need to tell me about your life because I need to know." And I'm like, "Bitch, you don't need to tell you anything.
You are not entitled to this."
When there was that, and I couldn't get past Saphira's voice on the audio.
No, I couldn't.
But I know that I won't be able to get through this without the audio because the audio, for the most part, makes it better. Like, I love immersive reading, like the book and the audio together. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't agree with Saphira's voice either. The minute she started talking, I was like,
yeah.
Like, who gave Gandalf freaking nails to eat for breakfast? Like, what happened?
Oh, I mean, we were talking about this before we came live, but it seems to be a thing. I mean, I totally understand that dragons are supposed to be these, like, ethereal beings and stuff. So a lot of times, when you have creatures like dragons, their voices tend to be quite, like, you know, gravelly and that kind of thing. And it wasn't the fact that it was a gravelly voice. I mean, I don't mind a gravelly... That sounds weird.
I don't mind a gravelly voice.
I don't mind a gravelly voice.
She's waving at the buildings outside.
But it was just like the fact that it just was such a contrast to the other character voices.
Yes.
And every time Saphira was talking, I was like, ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a lot.
Do you know what? The only dragon voice I've heard that I can remember off the top of my head that I actually really liked was the one from Merlin. What's his name? John something. I'm gonna have to Google this. The TV show Merlin that they did, his dragon voice, because it's basically just his voice, just slightly deeper.
Deeper, yeah. I mean, I could imagine that, like, as a babe. The thing is, even as like as an egg, like as an egg, or like as she was growing up, the voice was still the same.
Yeah, it didn't
The
change.
voice it didn't change. So I imagined the first time that Sophia was supposed to speak, that the voice would be quite baby-like and quite like
Mid.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was immediately just like. I was like, oh.
John Hurt is the person who does the voice in Merlin.
Yeah.
He
I've only
is.
seen a few episodes of Merlin, but I do know what you mean by the dragon.
He's
voice.
also the guy that does the intro.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Tori. When I used to read this book, her voice was completely different in my head.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like she doesn't sound like a girl dragon.
No.
Just like, give us a dragon voice. Well, it's like when they were at the start, when Eragon, well, not at the start, but after she's hatched and Eragon's trying to name her and giving her all these names, and he doesn't realise that he's a girl. She's what? He doesn't realise she's a girl. That could have been a completely different book. But she's like shaking her head and stuff, and then he's like, "Oh, you're a girl," and then she talks, and I was like, "I wouldn't have thought that either."
No, no.
There's nothing wrong with sounding like a girl and being a dragon. Girl dragons are badass. You just gotta sound it.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not meaning like they have to sound like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go blow some fire."
I'm just gonna go over here and blow some fire over here.
Yeah. But you know,
well, I mean, I hate to compare it because that's not what we're here to talk about. But in Ascendant, there's a dragon called Pyra, and she is sassy as fuck. She's got quite a deep female voice, but you could tell it's a female voice.
Yeah.
And I think there should have just been a little bit more like diversity with the voices there, but that was the thing that brought it down for me a little bit, and just the fact that I did get very pissed off with Eragon as a character.
He is very bratty, and I think that's also something else I didn't realise when I first read it when I was younger, is how bratty he is. And actually, I don't know if it was Saphira's voice that started to annoy me, but when she spoke, I was like, "Stop being so mean." She's like, "You're running off and you're being stupid."
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I don't know whether
he is, but he's not even 18. Of course he's running off and doing stupid things.
I don't know whether that was supposed to be like in a caring way, because regardless of what she was saying to him, it sounded like she was angry all the time. It wasn't just like the intonation of the voice, it was like just the general way she spoke. It sounded like everything she said was angry. So you don't know if she actually cared for him or not, other than the fact that she says, like, you know, she's
angry.
Yeah. So that was a bit difficult to decipher at times, and it was a bit off. But
this is I don't want to spoil it, but that's what I think the red dragon sounds like.
The red dragon?
Yeah, you won't meet the red dragon.
Oh, that's in book 2. Is it in book 2?
Yes.
He looks evil. She, they look evil.
She, they. All of them. Yeah.
All of them look evil apart from Eragon. Is that supposed to be?
I'm not saying.
Not Eragon, Saphira even. This is why I thought it was called Eragon, because there's a dragon on the front and the name says Eragon. And that's why I thought his name was
a boy, obviously.
That's why I thought that. I'm guessing that that's not called Brissinger either.
No, that's the magic word.
It's very confusing. Very confusing.
Just keeping you on your toes. What else? Eragon is also only 15. There you go.
Yeah.
That's why he's stupid, because he's 15.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
So
did
in
you
the beginning,
have a favourite part?
oh,
Talk about jumping all over the place.
I kind of liked when we met the elf.
Arya.
Yeah, I do. I do like a good elven thing in a book. Um,
Nothing for it.
yeah, I. Yeah, I do like good elven characters in the book, and
Yeah.
she is very mysterious, and I did like her. She was a good character.
I think I'm excited because I've read the first 2 books. I've already told you this to the live. I've already read the first 2 books. So I'm excited to see what you think about the next one. Because there's more Arya and Eragon. And I just love her. She's great.
I feel like she would put him in his place if he's being a little shit, but I also feel like she would balance him out as well, because it's just been him and Brom, hasn't it? And then Murtagh. I'm gonna call him Murtagh, not Murtagh.
Murtagh.
Murtagh came along. So it's just been a bunch of guys. It's just been a bunch of guys, hasn't it? So
yeah, literally, it's just meant. And obviously, Eragon was raised by his uncle and his cousin.
Yeah.
That's the other reason I like Eldest as well. You get to see his cousin more because in this book, it's like here's Rowan. Rowan is now going to
off to get married.
grind up wheat. Up you go. And it's like Rowan has a relationship with this woman in the village, but they're just gone.
That was very strange, because I thought at the beginning, obviously the very beginning, it shows the clip of the Arya transporting the egg, like it's the whole setup in it, and that bit I really liked because it's like, where did it go? Oh,
where did it go, boys and girls?
Eragon found the egg, that he thought was a stone.
So he just picked it up, carried it out.
This big stone, like, can we sell this, Uncle?
Can you give me some meat, please?
And then see people where I got it from. Obviously, we all knew at this point, because of the way that the story is like set out on the blurb and stuff. We knew that the stone wasn't a stone; it was an egg. But I did like the fact that it sort of built it up a little bit. And it introduced Brom before we knew why Brom was being introduced. And it sort of gave you an introduction to his character, and then it sort of linked Eragon to him later on, so that made sense. But it was sad when his uncle died. That was very quick.
Yeah, but it's like a Disney film, isn't it? Really, in that sense,
yeah.
It's like, well, look, he's loved. No, he's not.
He's an orphan boy.
Yeah, this is his origin story. Now you must go off on your conquest and find him.
Yeah, it's basically I've got no other choice because
like,
my cousin's gone.
To work on the farm by myself. Well, I must go to make money for my wedding.
Yeah,
tell him that our uncle is dead. I will tell him. I will pass word. Right. Okay.
But it seems like he got over that quite quickly, and then was like, right, okay, we're off on this adventure.
Yeah.
And then,
next one.
Yeah, and then Brom's on his way with him. But I feel like I'm worried because we're gonna jump around again. I'm just looking up when I look over there. I'm looking at my notes, because the fortune teller mentioned family betrayal, and if we see more of Roran in
I know what
2, and obviously his uncle can't betray him because he's dead.
But he's dead.
The only person who could betray him is his cousin, who we've not seen much of.
Yeah.
and he's the only family that we know that he has, unless he's got some hidden family somewhere that's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm your family member, but I'm also gonna stab you in the back. Peace out." Uh, so I don't know, that worries me. What was it? Was it death? Where did I write it? It was did
Death
we
was wrong.
death, romance, and family betrayal. So did Brom
No.
die?
Brom did die, yes. Did you miss
Sorry.
that part?
No, it's the reason I'm confused is because as I mentioned this before, I read this book and Ascendant.
Stop confusing them. We know you love Ascendant. Stop it.
But I read them; they are very similar storylines, and people die. Okay, so I was just like,
People
"Oh shit!"
always die. That's just like fantasy, really.
Right?
Even
Okay, so yeah.
Disney people die. Like, death is just a part of the big wide world.
So yeah, I'm just a bit like I shouldn't have. What am I doing? I shouldn't
I
have
don't know,
read them
Logan.
both. I should have read them both so close to each other. And
No.
yeah, Bronn dies. Yes, Murdoch reveals a sword, and Bronn gave Eragon, which was once Morzan's. Yeah,
And
Morzan's
then
sword.
Murtagh is Morzan's son. Dun, dun, dun.
I did not expect that.
Well, that's
Obviously,
the
I
point.
knew that there was a secret he was keeping, because
Yeah.
obviously it was acting very shifty at times, and it was like,
Where did
I
you
don't have
come
to tell you my
from?
backstory.
Nowhere.
Yeah,
Where do you want to go? Nowhere. I
don't
can't
wanna go
to the
there.
garden. Well,
I don't want to
where
go
else?
there, but I'm not going to tell you why I don't want to go there. But I don't want to go there, but
Yeah.
I can't go here, and I don't. It's like, what is going on with you?
Where are you? Where are you going for? I don't know, but I can't go there. Brilliant. See you later. Off you go.
It's like, why? I can't tell you that either.
Yeah, exactly. It's when they were carrying Arya to take her to the Varden, and the Urgles are chasing them, and she's like, "I can't go to the Varden." And Eragon's like, "Well, if we don't go to the Varden, she's gonna die." And then that whole scene, I didn't actually realize how many times Eragon goes, "Saphira, maybe I should have ridden with you, and you can fly to the Varden." And every time she's like, "You've chosen what you want to do. Stop changing your mind." I was like, "Huh."
But yeah, that scene was very quite tense, because I was just like, what the hell is going on?
Thank you. Yeah. I missed my calling as an actor.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was it that Laura said there? Only read the first one.
Only read the
Definitely.
first one. Definitely curious about the prophecy. Laura, follow us for the rest of the journey, because we are going to read all 4 books.
And I've never read them, so this is my first soiree into Mr. Christopher Paolini.
Have you
And his
not read the
writing.
Secret of the Sea of Stars?
No, it's on my 12 books from 12 books and 12 prompts. Catherine picked it, and I haven't picked it out of the hat yet.
Audio.
But Christopher Paolini wrote this when he was 19.
Yeah, and I think because of that, that is another thing I take into consideration when I'm like, it's real young, because I think, if I remember rightly, they just grow with him, kind of like the She Who Must Not Be Named books grow.
Yeah.
Because when you read the first one of that, it's like, this person said this, da 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 da, and then it gets more, well, not complicated, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like you could tell that this was a first, but I didn't realize he was so young when he wrote it. But to be able to write this at such a young age, I would never have been able to do that.
Yeah,
But you could tell that
2009 this came out, I think.
Oh, dropping it. Yeah, but we was very young, so but you could tell that there's places to improve, and I'm hoping that it will get better going forward. I know that I'm going to have to put up with Saphira's voice for the other 3 books. I'm just going to have to grin and bear that. But I just want not Holt, fucking hell, Eragon to be. Holt was in Ascendant. I want Eragon to become less bratty.
Yeah,
and
I think
demanding.
the second book does that for him, if I remember.
I think Brom's death might have done that for him as well. I don't
Yeah,
know, like just he's lost his uncle, his cousin. He doesn't know if his cousin's actually going to be the one that betrays him because this weird fortune teller is just like death, romance, and family betrayals, and it's like, whoa, my cousin would never do this to me, and that's sort of like playing on his mind, and you can tell it is. And then the other one person that he's been traveling with that he was hoping he could rely on turns out to be Morzan's son that nobody trusts, and
yeah.
it was
Basically.
the twins.
Creepy, right?
Creepy as fuck. Twins. As soon as I met them, I was like, ew, you are not delving into any part of my body. Like, stay out of my head.
I don't
Like,
think they want any other part of the body apart from the brain.
no, nobody is delving into my brain. And
Yeah.
the fact that they like try to force themselves on him, I was like,
We've cornered you.
it was
I do think that part, not that part, because that wasn't a specific point. I do think when they're all on the training grounds and they're trying to test Eragon, and he turns around and goes, "No, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get me to tell you all the words that I've learned by being sly." And like, fair play to Eragon for turning around and just going, "I'm going to do this as simple as possible. You ain't getting nothing from me."
Yeah, it did rise up a bit with that though, but that whole thing, yeah, they were very creepy. At first, I can't remember his name. I'll find it in my notes. I have two sets of notes, because I even right Arjahad. I didn't know whether he was good or bad when we first met him, which is the guy that rules the twins. Is that
the Dwarf King.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know whether he was good or bad at that point when we first met him, because obviously the twins were bad, and they can be bad even if he is good.
Yeah.
But and then I wrote Morning Sage. Who is he? Who is this Morning Sage that's just popped up? Well, you probably will know because you've read further on, but that's my question.
Yeah, I think I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been many years since I read the book. But we learn more about everyone under the lovely mountain in the next book because we spend a large portion of said book under the mountain.
Under the mountain.
Yeah. Or is it a large part? I can't really remember. I do know, like, this is my only worry about the next book. And I feel as though after the books that we have read, being Ruin of Kings and the Greenbone Saga, that this, because it is YA and it's not adult, there is a lot less dissecting to do because it's all very much laid out for you. But my thing with the next book is that the next book to me is like the epitome of, if I remember correctly, a traveling training book. You're just like, when will this end?
Oh.
But not necessarily in a bad way. Like, it's good because it pads out the world that we don't. Because in this book, we don't really know an awful lot if you think about it in the grand scheme.
No.
We've kind of galloped around the map a little bit, and we've gone to some places, and we know what some of the creatures are and stuff that are in this world. But it's not as, and it's good and bad. It's not as all of a sudden world heavy or all of a sudden info dumpy, which is great, and it's a nice breather from everything else that we're probably reading. But I think now that I'm reading a lot more adult as well, I miss that.
Yeah,
and when,
I did notice that as well.
And when, obviously, I read it before, I never noticed that. But having read so much, and also now, as you said to me earlier, being more critical because I read and review things, it doesn't necessarily. It's still a good book, but it doesn't necessarily tick all the boxes that it did when I first read it.
Yeah, so for me, it was lacking a bit of the world building, and the issue with that is if you're saying like the second book is sort of like a traveling training book.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably how they're doing the world building. Like if we look at different types of world, so like for Christoph, he does the world building in the footnotes. For this one, obviously, he's doing the world building and like the exploration into the rest of everything in as like a total in a second book.
Yeah.
I think that can become like a bit like if there's still dialogue in it and there's still like character growth and development, I'll be fine because I'm a very character driven person. If it's just plot and exposition, that's where it's gonna lose me.
I think it's one of them where maybe, and I don't know. Usually we don't really talk about the next book on these things, but chaos.
Yeah,
I think maybe I'll enjoy the next one more now I'm older, because I now look for more world building.
Yeah.
And more knowledge. Whereas now I'm like, give me the answers. Like, what? What's happening? Give me more learning things.
Give me more learning things. I did miss, like, because obviously we got told during this book, you know, that Brom told him how to use his magic, and Brom told him this, and Brom did this. Do you know what I mean? And we didn't. I would have loved to have got like, because it doesn't really say what the span of time is that Brom and him are together.
Yeah.
But what I would have liked would have been to see how they got that bond, because obviously it's really sad when Brom dies, and it was a sad part of the book. But I didn't personally cry because we know of Brom. We know that he's some kind of like grumpy guardian figure, who has secrets and that kind of thing. But we don't really get the time that him and Eragon spend together, the training, the getting to know each other thing, and because whenever they do talk, generally Eragon's kind of quite demanding of him. You don't really feel that they have bonded as a pairing. So when Brom does die, it is sad, and I feel sad for Eragon losing and yet another like father adult figure in his life, but you don't really feel like the heart wrenching, like, oh my god, I can't believe he's lost someone that close to him, because the connection wasn't built between them.
Yeah. I agree.
So
it's like how going back to what we read before, Greenbone Saga, like we read so much and we saw, even in the first book, or especially in the first book, we saw so much of Lan's character.
Yeah.
And when, going to be cryptic, but not massively cryptic, when the thing happens to him, in case you haven't read that book, it was more like when his secrets come out as well, it's a lot more heartbreaking, because you could see why it had happened to him and the struggles that he was going through.
Yeah.
I agree with you on this. Like, it's not so much shown, it's told, and I like the shown thing. I also do agree with Tori that I love when I learn with the main character. Eragon doesn't know, so we don't know. I get that. I like that. I do enjoy learning with the main character.
Yeah.
But I feel like he would have known. I feel like Eragon would have known a lot more. Like, he's 15, but he's not stupid. And not necessarily about the magic and stuff. I'm happy to learn that with him. But about the world, not even in general, because he does grow up in the back ass end of nowhere. But they've had, they have sellers and minstrels and all sorts of people coming through every year, that I would have thought it would be more like, oh, we're going to Drasleona, where the streets are paved with gold. And he turns up and he's like, that's not paved with gold.
Yeah.
But it's just because merchants are there. Like, those sorts of references where, like, you've heard stories from other people and they make things really big and grandiose. And then he's like, oh, actually, the real world's not as it's often told in stories. Does that make sense? Or am I
No, you do make sense.
I don't know if I do.
46. See, See, I don't get that. I don't get that connection at all. And I do get learning with the main character, but it was like
Mm.
when the incident happened where he accidentally just imbued the arrow with magic.
No, he just shouted,
Um,
rising her and went, "Oh, something happened."
yeah, and then all of a sudden that happened, and then like the tides are turned on the whole thing,
Mm.
and then he was like, "Oh, Brom, teach me how to actually do that," and then Brom was like, "Yes, I will," and then there's no what would have been nice for me, and yes, it would
Mm.
have made the book a bit longer, but it would have been nice for him to have like even if it's just a few pages of Brom sitting him down, showing him how to use the magic and teaching him how to say the words and like link himself with the magic and
Yeah,
how and just explaining how he could work with Saphira as well, because again the bond between
yeah,
Saphira and Eragon, we assume that there's a bond there because he's hatched the egg and that's how it works. The
mm.
dragon is attached to the person who hatches them, and we know how a dragon boy, the dragon situation works, but we're not
Mm.
shown how their bond grows. We're not shown how
Yeah,
they're connected. And like you said, I don't think it helps that everything she says to him sounds pretty snappy and angry, and he just sounds very bratty.
mm.
So
Yeah.
it
No, I agree.
doesn't sound like they're very loving towards each other. So
Whereas
that
when I read it in my own head,
yeah,
she didn't sound like that. Not just the voice, but like tone as well. It was a lot
yeah,
more. But the relationship between I love Saphira and Aragon. Do not get me wrong, but the relationship between them, especially within the first book, it's almost as if all of a sudden she develops into like a motherly figure in the fact that it's like you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's
yeah.
like, well, I know you're a dragon and stuff, but technically you're younger than me, so what with the sass? Um, and there's no, I can't remember what book it is. There is a book that I'm thinking of. This is like charades, and there's like a pairing between
Two words. First word.
two words. There's a pairing between like two characters and like a person and like an animal companion or something, and they're learning, and we don't get any of that like, what's that? Oh, that's a branch, that's a tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like have you seen Guardians 3?
No.
Ugh. Ugh.
I know there's a baby rocket
Yeah, but
because
that's the
there's a
perfect,
Funko baby rocket.
yeah, that's the perfect thing. Like I'm trying to describe is that there's a part, and it's not a spoiler because it's him as a baby, but he
Yeah.
goes constantly, "What's that? What's that? What's that? Why is that?"
Yeah.
Like teaching him.
Yeah, and like the dragon learning to walk because
Yeah,
it's that whole thing like learning to walk, like opening their eyes, seeing for the first time, noticing what's around them. And I know that, like you said, dragons are ancient beings, and a lot of the times dragons that are born will have the memories of previous dragons, and we know that law, like dragon law and stuff. Like you know, they are technically like wise beyond the years because of like the history that they've been developed. But it's and they're being magical beings. But I would have liked to have seen more of
yeah,
like even if it was just sort of like Saphira learning how to like walk and like fumbling over herself, and it sounds very silly, but like those little moments where
yeah,
he'll help her to walk and to see and to like to guide her and teach her, and then that's how the bond grows.
mm,
But it
yeah,
just yeah, I'm hoping we do get to see more of that going on because, like I said, I'm trying not to be overly critical. One, because of his age when he wrote this, and two, because it would
mm,
have been his first book, and back in like 2005, whatever, it it was a different type of fantasy that was being written.
yeah.
Like,
It is definitely a very good YA fantasy, and if my sister, who is currently 8, still wants to read fantasy, as it not, yeah, more like, I don't want to say boy fantasy because it's not, but
yeah,
more
no,
like dragons. Because at the minute she's very much into like fairies and princesses and Tracy Beaker and all that sort of stuff. If she wants to get into more dragon, more like high fantasy, but at a young age, this would be a book I'd recommend for her because
yeah,
I do think it's well written. I think it hits all of the points of YA that I like. There is a smattering of like romancy bits, but it's all one-sided, which is like really awkward because being 15 is awkward.
I love that bit though.
Not only that, but like I don't think we're told how old Arya is, but she's a freaking elf, so she's not gonna be 15.
No.
Which is, I think we find out in the next book.
I mean, I do get like I've got a little bit of a crush.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that if anything does happen with them or any attraction happens, he is of legal age before that happens. Because
I don't really think Christopher Paolini is that sort of author. So his slight tangent shot. To Sleep in the Sea of Stars. There's like a scene in the first part of the book where it's
oh fuck yeah, I've read 80 pages of it, so I know what happens in the beginning.
Oh, so like the first part where she's introduced with her relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her and Alan have basically like a fade to black moment.
Yeah.
That's the sort of author he is. Like even in adult, he doesn't make it adult.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my thing is like I do love my scale of like liking romance is varied, but it depends on the story. So I think some stories work brilliantly and like just as well without the romances. Romance is not always needed. So at the moment in this particular story, I think I would be happy with just following Eragon and Saphira, and if they meet new people and they develop their bond and their training and grow as a dragon rider and his dragon, then that for me and would and like come across trials and big bads that they've got to defeat. Like this kind of story for me is where I want it to go and what I enjoy about this bit. For me, in this kind of book, romance is not necessarily a requirement for me to enjoy it more, and I don't think it's always needed.
No,
I mean, the little crush that he's got on Arya, like it's cute, it's whatever, but
she's a girl.
Yeah,
she's the only girl he bloody.
yeah. Other than the one girl that his cousin was like betrothed to, wanted to marry off to.
Yeah, literally, his village seemed like it had him, his cousin, and his cousin's girlfriend. Everyone else was middle-aged. Even the blacksmith's sons were like,
yeah,
old in medieval times, 20 odd. And then he leaves there and spends all of his time on the road with Brom. Then he meets up with Brom's friend and his snotty wife.
Oh God. Yeah.
There was no need. No need.
When he earwigged on them using magic, that and Brom was like, "I'm gonna have to teach you how to respect people's privacy." That was such a good thing to do. That was such a like that was very much like a child wanting to know the answer to something and then doing something without thinking. We realised he was like, "Oh well, it's going to invade his privacy, but I want to know." See, that speaks very true to a 15-year-old boy or 15-year-old child, like wanting to get the answer to something. So that made sense to his character.
Yeah.
The fact that the only thing that to me, him being a brat, doesn't make sense because he comes from. It's not like he's a noble that's used to people catering after him and blah blah blah. He comes from a poor family. And he's only lived with his uncle and his cousin, and he does have to do everything for himself. So his bratty behaviour doesn't speak of him as doesn't make sense to his character because he's although poor people can be bratty, you know what I mean? He's not very humble about himself. Like you'd expect a boy like him to be more humble and like less demanding and bratty. I'd expect that kind of attitude from someone like middling to noble.
Angelo and Arya are my favourite characters, hands down. Oh, also I do like the werecat. He's
the werecat. Or was it Solomon?
Solomon.
Solomon. Meeting him was just.
See his voice.
Yes.
Saphira's voice. Gravel on a chalkboard.
That makes me cringe.
Sorry.
But yeah, speaking of Angela, I do love her character, and I do also love Solomon, and the fact that he could change his form, and like I've read a lot of fantasy in the last couple of years, and off the top of my head, I can't think of another character in another book that I've come across that's like him. That can shift from like a cat to a whatever
Oh,
to a
no.
like
I
it
was,
was,
I
it was
was
a
going to say he's
it was
very
like a
similar.
shifter animal.
Yeah, he's very similar in my head to Mr. Kindly in Nevernight in personality.
Personality wise, yeah.
Not obviously what he is, but I've also only read the first book in that series. But like that kind of personality for me is very similar with Nevernight, and that's what I thought when I read Nevernight for the first time. I was like,
Yeah, I do love his personality. He's very sassy, he's very cryptic, is the kind of character that brings a bit more like lightheartedness to the plot.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I would like to know that too. You're frozen.
Oh, sorry,
Alright.
my laptop decided to pop up and say someone in London was trying to use my Apple ID. I don't think they are. Thank you for that during a live show, MacBook. I want to know more about Eragon's mother finding out her prophecy and what happened. Yes, and I want to say it's the second book that we find out more about it, but I'm not sure to how much extent. I feel like the first book gives you a lot of not really backstory. It just kind of goes, here's what's happening now. Let's figure out everything that happened beforehand to get us to this point later on. And then the later books must be more, this is why this happened.
Yeah.
You know? We kind of go forwards to go backwards.
That makes sense. I'm hoping that's the case.
We also love Solid Bomb. Do you read fantasy?
Yes, I do. I love fantasy. I read fantasy a lot. You would never have guessed.
You also read a lot of fantasy, so.
See, I've got weird. I've got eclectic taste. Okay, I can.
Hey, that is your reading taste is like my music taste. Like 1 minute I'm listening to metal, I'm washing in my car, and the next minute I'm singing country songs about how you done treating me bad and wrong. Like that. That's literally it. Oh, and then there's some musicals thrown in there.
Oh, well, sitting in the back of a pickup truck and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Going down country road to country road.
Oh my god, I love that. I'm so glad that you said. Oh my god. Right, okay. I need you to send me a Spotify list after this. So show me what you listen to.
Musicals as well.
Yes.
Belting my heart out in my car.
So the shades.
I
want to find out more about the shades.
Yeah, I just want to find. Oh, what? Almost throw me out.
Don't fall off your chair.
Shades. I want to learn more about just like all of the creatures in general in this series because we're introduced to shades. We're introduced to Urgles.
Yeah.
We know that shades are made through calling demons that are stronger than yourself, and then they kind of like take over you. I don't really understand if every shade has got funky coloured eyes and hair that match.
Funky.
Maroon hair and maroon eyes is an eclectic combination, gotta be honest. I'm not sure if that's like a thing. And then we know like Urgles are pretty much stupid.
It's like I get told to beat boy, I beat boy. Like I do what I told.
Yeah.
Okay?
I take you to a master. You come with me. Okay.
It's like, why do I need to do this? Come with me.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand what you mean. Come with me. I'm told. They're like they remind me of like the dumb barbarian kind of characters that are just like God. Like, you've got this. You'll have the person in charge that just has the little underlings that he's like, do this, and if you want someone to have the crap beaten out of him or whatever, then you get the Urgles. If you want the shit scared out of him, and a bit of torture, you'll pick a shade to do your bidding.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And
yeah.
I just wanna. I feel like as well in this whole book, our main source of knowledge was Brom, and then Brom was taken from us, and now we are floundering in the brain of a 15-year-old boy. Just like I don't
Yeah.
like to be here. I don't want to be here.
No, like who's gonna teach him now? I know we've got Arya who knows a lot, and she's like obviously an elf, and you know she's gonna help him on his way now a little bit. And we've got Murtagh.
Murtagh.
Murtagh. Oh, I hate saying that. It's Murtagh. But yeah, we've got Murtagh to help him, and obviously he's going to the elves to learn more magic. But I do miss having the Grumpy Guardian character, and I know that Murtagh is kind of like a grumpy guy, but he's more of like the grumpy guy that's just kind of like an outcast because of who his dad was.
He's like his grumpy older brother. Like.
Yeah, not like the father type of guardian that Brom was with, like, you know, it was like the storyteller Brom, actually.
He has no wisdom of which to share. He just has anger at the world.
Yeah, and angst. He's just like an angsty old man.
He's like he must be like, I want to say, I don't actually know if it says, but like when I read from him, I feel like he's more like 17 and like looking at Eragon going, you stupid child.
Yeah.
You don't know what pain is. Like with his emo friend. You just don't understand me. It's so hard. You didn't know your parents well. My dad was evil, so that's just worse.
So my life was worse than yours.
Yeah, your uncle died. Well, my dad is Mozan, and he is
he's the most evil person ever.
And he made me swear an allegiance to him because he just wants me to help him out. All right, chill out.
But I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's so stressful not obeying your parents.
I just want to listen to Paramore in my room.
A bit of Fallout Boy.
Yeah. Oh, my teenage years coming back. I still listen to Fallout Boy. Search the world for how hard life is.
Oh
I don't think I have ever turned around to my mum though and gone, you just don't understand me.
You're ruining my life.
Yeah, you ruined my life. You're not my real mom. Well, she is my real mom, but
one thing that annoyed me was once it got into Eragon's head, and like they found out who Murtagh was, like they still wanted to get inside his head. It's like you wanted to get inside the head to prove who they were and what their intentions were. You got that from Eragon, and you got his thoughts and feelings. Like you found out who Murtagh was, and what his purpose was. So why then did you have to dig into his brain? At that point, you're just being nosy.
Like if I could dig into people's brains, I'd be like, just sit there and let me see what you think about the world.
No, I wouldn't like it because
I don't want to know everyone's sordid thoughts.
Plus, I would know what everyone truly thinks of me, and I'd rather just not. I'd be like, it'd be awkward.
I don't really think anyone can. This sounds rather sad. I don't really think anyone can think any worse of me, of which I've never actually thought of myself at some point in my life. Like, you know, I just know I'm loud and chaotic, and I'm cool with that. If you don't like it, fine, go away.
We love you, Charles.
Fine. We can be friends, Tori.
She's just as chaotic as you. You're both crazy.
And sugar doesn't really have an impact on me either, so this is all natural.
Same.
Well, that's a lie. The only sugar that has an impact on me is fizzy sweets. But caffeine, nothing.
Also, walking through a city and giving a child a magical blessing. That came out of nowhere. It was just an awkward scene. He was like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And it was like, just And it was like, oh, heal my child, heal this, and then it was
Bless
just like,
my child. Oh my gosh. Do you know
yeah.
what as well? And it happens in the second book, comes back to bite him in the ass. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
I don't want to know what's gonna happen. I'm scared.
We do love you, Lisa. There you go.
Gracias. Love you too, Tori. But I can't ask you your theories on book 2 because you know.
No, but I can ask you, what are your theories on book 2?
I don't know. My theories
You still have
based on Solomon and his and
Solomon.
Angela and their wise fortune telling. I feel like he's gonna get back in touch with Rowan, bang, 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 and he's. I think it's Rowan. I don't know his name. His cousin. And
I call him Rowan.
Is gonna end up like betraying him because, as far as we're aware at the moment, his only family that are currently available to, available to betray him is his cousin.
The only one available. Everyone else is available.
Well, Mother can't get to the phone now. She's busy.
Why? She's dead. Literally,
what we do. So yeah, I think Roman's going to betray him. The romance. I hasten to say this. I don't want there to be any romance in these books. I wanted it to just be dragon battles, fighting evil people. But I think romance-wise, I'm going to be a bit nasty about this. I think he's going to meet Roran's person that he's in love with, and then they're going to end up falling for each other. Because I don't think
that's evil.
I think that might be what leads Rowan to betray him, is that the girl doesn't actually love Rowan, that she ends up falling for Eragon instead. If that's going to be the romance plot, it's going to be that, because if it's not that, then there's no reason for Rowan to betray Eragon. Not that I want.
Where it hurts, didn't you? He's got no mum, no dad, no uncle. Now his uncle's going to kill him because apparently he's stealing his girlfriend. Wow.
Yeah.
I'll wait to see your thoughts in the next live show.
The death, I think the death's already happened. It was Brom, unless there can be more death, which there probably will be. But obviously, we know Murtagh doesn't die because Murtagh gets his own book.
Yeah, but does Murtagh does he get his own book that's a prequel, or does it happen after this book? Like, I actually have not read. I've pre-ordered this book, but I haven't read what this book is about, which is pretty commonplace with the books that I'm buying currently. Just kind of go, buy.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Causes me issues. I'm gonna have to look that up now because I'm intrigued if it's a prequel. Because that will. Murtagh, huh? Because that's how it's spelled.
Murtagh. Do you know what annoys me though? Is that like Murtagh is in hardback.
Don't read the blurb.
Don't read the blurb.
Don't read the blurb until you've read the next book at least.
Right. Okay.
It's an after one.
Right, okay. So we know that Murtagh stays alive. So the death can't be him.
That was what that was about, but okay.
So yeah, so I think this isn't where I want it to go, but I think to keep the story fresh, to make it not so predictable. The predictable way would be that he would continue to grow older, and when he's of age, him and Arya become a thing, and then they'll live happily ever after the end of the books once they've all defeated the bad guys. That would be the predictable way of going. And the family betrayal, I've got no fucking idea who the betrayal is from. Like, I have no idea. So that would be the predictable way of going. To make it a bit different, he's gone looking for the elven magic, but he's also wanting to find his cousin. So I think the non-predictable way would be that he meets his cousin, who's asked this girl to marry him, she realizes that she was only with Warren because, you know, he was pursuing her and she had no other choice, and the Era and Eragon have become a thing, and then
Why?
Warren
Because
and
there's
his...
only like 2 youngins in the village.
there are only 2 young boys in the village, and then they become a thing, and then Rowan gets all angry and betrays him and like gets him attacked, whatever. I don't know. That would be the non-predictable way of going. So
these are Tories' comments. Catriona I. Mutar. Her. I. It's not, which I think means it's not a prequel for the Mutar her book. Also, cannot wait for all of these lives. Yeah. And what's this one? Alive, but is he whole? Is he whole? Is he missing something?
An arm, a leg, a soul. A soul.
Yeah. Don't know if it's that sort of book.
No,
it's not
that
Ruin
dark.
of Kings, you know.
It's not grim dark. It's YA. Sometimes
It's
it's easy to forget that. Like, it's YA. It's not gonna be like he lost his soul to the devil, is it? It's gonna be like.
Isn't that the whole plot of the Voodoo Man from Princess and the Frog?
Yeah, lost the soul to the other side. I don't know.
The other side. That's not a high note, is it? It's low because it's like jazz in New Orleans.
Yes, that is true.
Not true.
But I think they're my thoughts. I don't want this to be predictable, but I'm scared it would be because it's YA and was written like back in the day.
Well, I can only comment as far as the second book, and after technically this month, because we're meant to be reading it this month, even though I think we both now seem to do this lovely thing where it's like, oh well, the book is for this month, but the live show is until the following month. I'll just read it the next month.
Beginning of the next month, yeah.
Yep.
I read it last week.
I finished it on the way home from work today, so haha.
At least you finished it.
That is true. I'm not being funny. It's not a big book, is it? I'm listening to it audibly, so if I didn't,
eldest is thicker.
If anyone actually, Brisinger's even bigger. If anyone at work actually wanted to talk to me, they couldn't because I just had my headphone in like all day. You will not talk to me. I have a live show. This may be my full-paying job, but
668 pages.
Well, this was
is book 2.
503.
And also in the back of this one, you've got the pronunciation guide, which is pretty cool.
Does it say Murtagha? Or does it say
Murtagha?
Murtagha.
Murtagha isn't on here.
Oh, well, maybe he doesn't get a pronunciation. Maybe it is just Murtagh.
Oh, yeah.
He just added a letter on the end. Make it look sophisticated and all that.
It says Murtagh is pronounced Mur, and then it says tag. Then it says Mur rhymes with per.
What about tag? Does that rhyme with tag?
Tag gag. Yeah.
Flag. Mur flag.
Bag. Yeah, so it's very good if you're.
This has just become like a children's show. What rhymes?
It's very good if you haven't audiobooked it to know the pronunciations. But sorry, Mr. Pauline, you're still wrong with the pronunciation of Murtagh.
Really like how they say Brisinger. Like I know I'm saying it wrong, but I prefer.
I thought they said it. I thought it was Brisinger.
Because Brisinger in my head sounds like I'm from Somerset.
Brisinger.
It's not the. Although I do love the fact that in the audiobook, Angela is like Northern. I think she's like Yorkshire. I think.
You're right, love.
Right, Lee. Don't tell them where I'm hiding. Whatever it is.
I'll give you points for your attempt at a Yorkshire accent there.
My Yorkshire is rather rough. I have to be honest. Where I actually only recently found out that it's not Jack's favourite accent to listen to purely because we were watching Chicken Run. And, you know, the one that's like, I don't want to be a pie. I don't like gravy.
I don't like gravy.
And he was just like, that accent really annoys me. So I was just saying it constantly for about 3 days. I don't want to
Oh,
be
is he in tonight? We could just shout it at him.
He's not in tonight, no. He's working till like 3 o'clock at night. Well, morning. Morning? Yeah, morning.
Morning.
It's at morning.
I don't like gravy.
Where the pastures are greener. I don't understand this. You're going to have to give me some context. I'm just doing what Gemma
Oh,
Lisa
yeah, asking for the theories.
Oh, call me out,
Schwab. Oh, yeah, I've called her out. Yeah, so Tori did this for the near which she didn't finish it for the live.
This big?
Yeah. So there was the last bit of it that she hadn't read. So she's like you with Jade, what's it?
Me with Jade Water. I was like, just tell me the ending.
Yeah.
Actually, that wasn't even the ending. That was tell me the rest of the 50% of the book that I have not gone to yet. Oh shit!
You need to reread it. Yeah, you need to reread that and like get the full effect. Once you've forgotten what really happens in the first book, you need to reread it again.
Yeah, because I think I would reread the first 2 books. The third book for me, it was good, but it was just a lot of it.
Yeah,
a lot of jumping around and timey-wimey stuff, and it's not.
I can't say that yet because I haven't watched that part in Doctor Who. Don't do that to me.
What? This little timey-wimey.
I can't say that yet. I need to watch that part of Doctor Who.
Wobbly something.
Yeah, it says it's a wibbly wobbly first.
It's wibbly wobbly timey-wimey.
Yeah. I can't remember how to say it.
Fish fingers
and Tori will tell me if I say it. She'll tell Becca that I've said it, and then Becca will be like, "Just said it. You're not allowed to say it yet."
Fish fingers and gravy. Not gravy. Fish fingers and custard. I don't want to go yet. That's wait, where are you up to in Doctor Who? Are you still on Tennant? Oh.
Yeah, I'm going into Tennant's second series.
You'll understand that line.
No, I'm going to series 3, series 4 I'm going into, I think. Series 3? I don't know what my life is. No, series 4. Series 3. I've done 2 with Billy Piper. So series 3.
Billy Piper. I like Billy Piper.
Because I want to. So next month we will have the live show for this behemoth.
Eldest.
And the tagline is darkness.
I can't actually think of why. There's one theory I've got as to why the name is Eldest, but I don't really think it links to anything, I'll be completely honest.
Wobbly. Darkness falls, despair abounds, evil reigns. That sounds very dramatic.
Well,
not gonna lie.
It is a book about dragons.
And I've had a very dragony week last week, so I'm living, laughing life. Living life.
Are you? Well,
yeah.
I have not. I have read The Eldest. No, I haven't. That's a lie. I have read Eragon. And I finished The Lost War as well. That was good. I liked that. By Justin B. Anderson. But otherwise, before we tangent off into other things.
He looks evil. See those eyes? Evil as fuck.
Kind of spoiler, not spoiler. He is evil.
Holy cow. That's me done for today, I think.
That. Someone needs to gift that. And add the sound. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I weird accents and noises come out of my mouth all the time. It's just who I am as a human being.
And me.
I don't like gravy.
I don't like gravy.
I
love gravy. I love it. That is my northern part coming out. I love gravy.
And Yorkshire puddings.
I don't like black pudding.
No.
It's gross.
I think we've lost our minds tonight.
Always.
This was fun. This was fun.
Right. Well, we'll leave you all to your evenings. I really need to think about what I'm going to eat for FUD. What are you doing? What is
I'm being the red dragon from Eldest.
I'm being the dragon. Pretty impressive dragon sound, to be fair. Otherwise, you've been talking for like an hour. I need to sneeze. Thank you. But otherwise, enjoy your evenings. Next live show will be on Lisa's channel. It will be about Eldest. We'll see if she is right, if she's wrong. All of the shock factor. Oh, what did you think about the guys in? Are you on about the dwarves? There were many guys in that mountain. Go be honest.
The dwarves. I like the dwarves. I trust the dwarves.
I like Auric. Auric is great.
I think he's lovely. I like him a lot. I want him to become the guardian. Crap, the dwarves.
Yes, the dwarves.
Yes, I don't like the twins, but I like the dwarf. And if I want him to replace Brom. I want him to decide to go to the elves and magic and go on a quest with them because I want to find more about him. Because he stood up for Auric stood up for Eragon when they were trying to probe people's minds without permission. Twins, little fuckers. Oh, before we go, I will say I was glad about the fact that they did actually help in the battle. That they're not total arseholes. They did help in the battle. I thought they were gonna totally
the very last part of the book is the twins have disappeared somewhere.
Yeah, they helped in the battle, even if they disappeared, but they did help in the battle first.
Where have they gone?
To the evil side. Because they're evil bastardos.
Yeah. Have a lovely evening. Next live show will be on Lisa's channel.
My channel.
Yeah, not mine.
Mine.
This is mine.
Mine.
That one.
Mine.
Right. Well, have a lovely evening. See you all later.
Bye. Ducky eggs.
Ducky eggs. That's like, how are you, duck? Like dead northern, that is.
You ended the live.
I'm ending it.
Smile and wave. Smile and